In 1964, a company nobody outside Japan had ever heard of declared war on the most powerful industrial empire in the world. The target was Caterpillar, the American giant that had spent decades building the world's infrastructure, one continent at a time. The strategy had a name, borrowed from an ancient board game where victory does not come from brute force, but from patience, precision, and surrounding your enemy until escape is impossible. They called it Maru-ki, encircle Caterpillar. What followed was one of the greatest industrial rivalries in history, a 30-year battle that shook the foundations of American manufacturing and rewrote the rules of global competition. This is the story of how Komatsu, a small Japanese company built in a city nobody could find on a map, came closer than anyone in history to bringing down the most powerful machinery company on Earth. It begins, as most great stories do, in the aftermath of war. Japan in 1945 was a nation in ruins, its cities bombed, its industry shattered, its confidence broken. Komatsu had spent the war years building tanks and bulldozers for the Japanese military, and when the war ended, it had to rebuild itself alongside the country it had served. The reconstruction of Japan created enormous demand for heavy equipment, bulldozers, excavators, cranes, and Komatsu supplied it. Through the 1950s, the company grew steadily, building a loyal domestic customer base and learning the fundamentals of large-scale manufacturing. But its products were known internationally for one thing above all others: they were cheap and they were unreliable. Then, in 1963, Japan's Ministry of International Trade and Industry made a decision that changed everything. It opened Japan's construction equipment market to foreign capital investment for the first time. Caterpillar did not hesitate. Within months, it had formed a joint venture with Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, one of Japan's most powerful industrial conglomerates, and it began building American-quality equipment inside Japan at competitive prices. For Komatsu, this was not a competitive threat. It was an existential crisis. If Caterpillar captured Japan, the only market Komatsu truly dominated, there would be nothing left. Komatsu's president, Yoshinari Kawai, understood exactly what was at stake. He did not panic. He did not negotiate. He launched Project A. Project A was a total, company-wide quality improvement initiative focused on a single product, the medium-sized bulldozer. The logic was simple and ruthless. Match Caterpillar's quality in every measurable way, at a price no American company could match. Every engineer in the building was redirected toward the bulldozer. Warranty claims, the clearest and most honest measure of product quality, were tracked obsessively, meeting by meeting, month by month. Within 3 years, those warranty claims had been reduced by 67%. Market share inside Japan rose from 50% to 65%. Caterpillar had arrived expecting to conquer. Instead, it found a competitor that had just become worthy of the fight. Kawai then launched Project B. The same relentless improvement applied to Komatsu's large bulldozers, the machines that competed directly with Caterpillar's most profitable products. And then he looked beyond Japan entirely. In 1967, Komatsu opened its first overseas subsidiary, in Belgium, at the heart of the European market. In 1970, Komatsu America Corporation was established in the United States, walking directly into Caterpillar's home market. Brazil followed in 1975, Australia in 1979. Maruka was not a metaphor. It was a literal, methodical plan to build operations on every continent simultaneously, to surround Caterpillar so completely that nowhere on Earth would feel like safe ground. While Caterpillar fought to defend Japan, Komatsu was quietly building distribution networks in Europe, the Americas, and Asia. By the mid-1970s, Komatsu's exports had risen from 20% of total revenue to 55%. In just 5 years, the encirclement was working. Then the 1980s arrived, and Caterpillar walked into the worst crisis in its long history. The American economy collapsed into recession. Construction stopped. Mining investment dried up. Orders fell off a cliff. At the same time, Caterpillar was locked in a brutal dispute with the United Auto Workers Union, one of the longest and most damaging industrial conflicts in American manufacturing history. While Caterpillar's factories stood silent, Komatsu's factories kept running. And then came the Plaza Accord. In 1985, an international currency agreement caused the US dollar to fall sharply against the Japanese yen. For Caterpillar, manufacturing in dollars its machines became dramatically more expensive for buyers around the world almost overnight. For Komatsu, manufacturing in yen, those same machines became dramatically cheaper. Marusi had not created this moment, but it had spent 20 years positioning Komatsu to capitalize on exactly this kind of moment. By the mid-1980s, Komatsu had captured roughly a quarter of the global construction equipment market. In some product categories, it was outselling Caterpillar outside the United States entirely. In the boardrooms of Caterpillar's home city of Peoria, Illinois, executives began asking a question that had never been asked before. Could Komatsu actually win? Caterpillar posted losses 3 years in a row, something that had never happened in its entire history. It closed factories. It cut tens of thousands of jobs. It restructured from the inside out. And then, just as the finishing blow seemed possible, Komatsu stumbled. A new president shifted the company's focus from global expansion to short-term cost reduction. The quality programs lost their urgency. The aggressive international push slowed. The window began to close. Caterpillar, wounded but not broken, did something remarkable. It learned. It rebuilt its manufacturing from the ground up, creating a flexible factory system that could respond to demand faster and at lower cost than before. It deepened its relationships with independent local dealers who had served construction companies for 2 and 3 generations. It invested in engine technology, diversified, and adapted. By the late 1980s, Caterpillar had stabilized, different from what it had been, but stronger in the ways that mattered. Komatsu's window of maximum advantage had passed. The two companies settled into the relationship that defines them today. Caterpillar as the undisputed global leader, Komatsu as the permanent, formidable second. Today, Komatsu generates over $20 billion in annual revenue and employs 60,000 people across 40 countries. It has pioneered autonomous mining trucks that operate without a human driver in the mines of Australia and Chile. Technology so advanced that its competitors are still trying to match it. Its largest mining vehicle can carry 360 tons of rock in a single load. Komatsu never destroyed Caterpillar. That is the truth. But for a period in the 1980s, Caterpillar genuinely did not know if it would survive. A company born in a small Japanese city, making tools for a domestic market, had forced the most powerful machinery company in the world to rebuild itself completely just to remain competitive. Marusi did not capture Caterpillar's territory, but it changed Caterpillar permanently. And that, in its own way, is a different kind of victory. No other company in industrial history declared its competitive strategy so openly, and then executed it so precisely for so long. Komatsu started in a city nobody outside Japan had ever heard of, making equipment that nobody outside Japan wanted to buy. Today it operates on every continent, in every major construction and mining market on Earth, and Caterpillar is still looking over its shoulder.